This is Lisa Steinberg with Starry Constellation Magazine. I'm joined by Nick Wechsler from the new show, The Hunting Party. Nice to speak with you. Excuse me.
Nice to see you. Nice to speak with you.
I'm a huge fan. I love your work. You have such an incredible range and versatility to your acting talent, and this stretches it, of course, even further. And I love to hear a little bit about kind of when you first got the breakdown for your character Oliver, or maybe when you subsequently got your script, what kind of more than one script, but what you kind of really stood out for you with regard to your character, whether it's a trait or his attitude, something specific about the character.
Well, thank you. Hello. I yeah, I mean, I think at first it was I didn't even I didn't really know anything about him. I didn't get to read the script at first. I had not a lot of time because originally they tried to audition I got an audition for it, but I was away, I was out of the country working and couldn't do it. Like my schedule just wouldn't allow. And then it came back and they're like, well, they still haven't found the guy and they need you to turn in a tape like in like a day and a half. And I was like, what? Um and so I didn't have time to like do anything or really like even like figure out a character or anything. I just was like, here's the lines. Gotta get them down. Um and then I got a call back for it and was like, oh, cool. Um, and and that's when I started to get a sense of him when I had a chemistry read with Melissa and I was getting some direction that was like indicating, oh, he's not necessarily a good guy. And I was like, oh, that's that's the first time hearing of this. But that's, because I hadn't been able to read the script at that point. Um, so but that ended up being like one of my favorite things about playing him, just like is he um I don't know. I liked I do think the smart money if you're gonna play a bad guy is on not playing him like a bad guy. So it kind of didn't I still kind of ended up having to like play him like a good guy, whether or not he's going to be bad, you know. But um, but yeah, I think that ended up being my favorite part of it, like the hook of like, what is this guy's deal? Like, is he involved in this thing? And so that ended up being fun.
When you have a character like yours that kind of has these different shades to them, is it, kind of fun for you or to have that kind of pendulum, whether you don't know, the audience doesn't know where he's going or which way he kind of lays on the spectrum of good, evil, bad?
Well, in terms of how I think it's more fun for the audience because I think as the actor, I'm like, I want to know what I'm supposed to do. Like how am I, so if there's a pendulum swing, if it's like, well, this episode he's good or whatever, and then this and the next episode, who knows, or whatever. I'm like, I want to know, is he bad? But I think it's probably more fun. Like it's probably a great time for the audience to be wondering the whole time. So I just have to hope that what I did doesn't screw up any of the plans.
I think they'll let you know. Well, this is such a really strong team behind this series. Yourself, Melissa, you talked about the writing, production, of course, as well. What really has kind of impressed you from being a part of this series?
Well, I mean, honestly, like everything you're saying. So my character's so separate that I don't, my character is back at command center pretty much the whole time. I'm never with the field team other than when they're back at command center briefly at the beginning of each ep. So um I only get to see how they're playing scenes in those scenes in that moment. I don't get to see how they're dramatizing any of the tracking down of the serial killers, whatever. And um or if there's some emotional stuff, there's moments where Bex gets, like in some hairy shit and there's a lot of emotion that comes out and when I see that stuff, I'm like, oh, you guys are amazing. Like there was a time where they brought me to I was on set when they were shooting, or I was like in my trailer when they were shooting another scene, and they were like, "Hey, the other actors are asking if you'd be willing to come do off-camera lines for them," and I was like, "Yeah," because it's like they were on the plane and they wanted, me to read my back at command center over communications uh, lines with them, and so I did that, and I got to like watch them do it, and I was like, "Oh, you guys are like bringing all this life to this that." Like I just didn't know. I didn't see it when I read it. And you're making it like really funny and dynamic and and then I saw and I saw Ep one and Ep four. I've only seen those two so far. Um, and that was the first time I got to see like how good our DP is and our and like how great our editors are and how like I was just like, oh, this is like everyone's, and seeing how great our killers are. Um, because again, my character's back in command center, doesn't deal with them. So I just like was like, oh, we're in great hands. Like everybody's doing um yeah, I just didn't know. I'm on an island there at command center. So it was really cool to see everybody pulling their weight.
Well, your character may be at the command center area, but I wanted to ask a little bit more then about even so the character dynamics. What can you kind of share or tease about that aspect of what we'll get to watch coming up, whether it's your character and Bex's character or the team itself as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I feel so bad because have now said this in three interviews, and I, it's like I heard that when you are riding a bike, that it's like I think they say something like don't look at the pothole or something because you'll end up steering towards it. Like you end up steering towards the thing you're trying to avoid. It's this weird thing. And I'm like, am I doing that now? Because I had a talk with JJ yesterday, and I said a thing to JJ where he was I feel like he was like, well, and now I found myself saying it a lot. And I think he might just disagree with me, but or something. But it's something about my character that I think is like I think he's very isolated, and he's isolated by what he did to the guy in the beginning of like in Ep one. That isolated him from her romantically, from his job. He used to work for the FBI. Uh, he lost his job there. Um, so there was a very isolated period for him there. Then he ends up working at the pit. He wants someone he can trust, hires her. It's hilarious. He hires her or brings her onto the team, and then she's trying to avoid him the whole time, like or at least trying to be like stay like keep him at arm's length. And then so the one person he knows he can trust on the team is like pushing him away and is kind of being influenced to not trust him. And so that's isolating. And then and Hassani doesn't trust him and all this stuff. So it's like his own team kind of wonders about him. And um and so that's something that I find myself like not leaning into, but just like I think it's a big part of what he's going through on the show. And and then he's separate from the field team. He doesn't even like get to be there to like it's hard to you bring someone on that you care about, whether or not you're a good person. Um, you bring this person on the team that you care about, and then you you know they're going to be in the like having to encounter the worst kind of people daily, and you can't be there to protect them. That's hard. Um, so yeah, there's all that, and then there's the stuff where we don't know if he's a good guy or not. Um, which we start to unravel over the course of the first season, and we have kind of an answer by the end of season one. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that's some of the stuff he's going through. That's you know, I think he still has strong feelings for Bex, but understands that you know, even though I don't think he regrets what he did to the guy, he knows there's consequences to doing it. He has to live with it.
What do you kind of hope, I guess, lingers or stirs around with fans from watching this series because it is so gritty, it's so palpable, it's got a lot of, amplification of suspense, on the edge of everyone's on the edge. You're on the edge of your couch, and people are on the edge of everything when you're watching on the screen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I hope that in the end they're fun people to spend time with. That uh like I know it's a heavy topic and all that. And there's a lot of drama, but I I hope that it because I think everybody's funny and there's humor too, and the dynamic it's hard. You make a show. There's only 10 eps of runway, and you're learning who your cast is and how what their dynamic is and what their strengths are and stuff as you're you know making like I think I think a season two would be even better because you it's like, oh, this is what this is everybody's strengths, this is what the dynamic is. So I think I want everybody to like come away from it being like, oh man, I actually I know it's all heavy shit, but like I love spending time with those people because their dynamic is fun and they seem to care about each other and they seem to I don't know, there's humor, there's care, so I don't know.
Well, thank you so much for your time. As a huge fan of your work from Revenge, and again, just to compliment you on what an exemplary range and versatility that you are with your talent. I'm quite an admirer of your work.
You're very, very kind to say that. I was just telling somebody before I have like major imposter syndrome. So,
Please
yeah,
don't. Please know that there are people out here like myself who value what you do, who appreciate what you do, and definitely commend you on everything that you bring to our screens. Thank you for your time today.
thank you.